welcome to In the Middle with Principal Hayward. On this episode, I have standout grade 8 student athlete Zoe Duran. One of my favorite parts of doing the show is getting to talk to students and learn a little bit more about them. Zoe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, this is your first year at NMS after transferring in. Was the transition more or less challenging than you thought? Because I imagine, I was fortunate I didn't have to change schools. I kind of grew up in my town. But, I always had, and when I've gone into teaching, I see kids come in new, and I always say, wow, that must be really difficult. Was it more or less challenging than you thought?
I thought that I wasn't going to make too many friends and it was going to be really hard because being an 8th grader, everyone's already made all their friends, but I came here and it was so much different than my old school. Everyone was so nice and they just welcomed me in. It was really good. That's
great to hear because we're glad to have you and you've had an amazing year. I have all types of students on the show, but usually the ones that stand out kind of catch my eye because they'd be really interesting to talk to. So what a transition. I've been very impressed by seeing how you've come in. You do great academically and athletically, which we'll get to. What is one of the most interesting class that you take?
I think science is really interesting. I've never had a science class that was so hands-on like Mrs. S does it.
Yeah.
We do a lab almost every day and it's so much fun.
Yeah, so you like that hands-on part of that? Mrs. Spimuli does a good job. Okay, so here's some of the kind of interesting things that kind of only if you go to Norton Middle School, but sometimes I wonder, when I was in school, anyone who went to Randolph Junior High and high school during the time that I was there probably knows this saying, I told you once, I told you twice, don't play with the vice. I had a teacher that would always say that. He kind of an accent. He was a shop teacher. We used to have shop back then, and he didn't like the rattle of the vice. Is there an interesting, and I have no idea, so it could blow up this question, but is there a phrase or a saying that a teacher says, or they say on 8 White, that anyone who's gone to 8 White would know? Any teacher?
I think Miss Hall, it's really funny whenever someone has really messy handwriting or something. Yeah. She always says, "What's all this garbage?" But she just says it in just such a funny way. It's everyone knows it.
Okay, so garbage is her type, the 8 White thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I told you once, told you twice, don't play with the vice. That was mine. And yours is Miss Hall with the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Interesting. What has been one of the best things you've liked about Norton Middle School since coming here?
I think it's really the people. I really like all the teachers and I really like all the kids. They're just so much different than what I thought from coming from my old school.
Yeah.
But I really like it.
Yeah, so you were able to quickly make connections and get in with people and really form those, because in middle school and high school, friends and relationships are important.
Yeah.
And so it makes coming to school fun and stuff every day. Tell me about one of the things, and I'm really pleased with the answer you gave because it makes me feel good that our culture and climate's kind of getting to a good place and a new person could come in like yourself and really transition easy. But I thought, and what would be also an excellent answer, was the gymnastics season that you had and coming here and being a part of that. Can you tell me a bit about the inaugural season of gymnastics, which you competed at the high school level?
Yeah, so, we started, it was just a little bit late starting, but we still got it, and we weren't really too much of a league. We weren't in the Hawkmock League or the Tri-Valley League.
Yeah.
It was just we just threw a couple meets together, and we ended up just doing our best, and we formed a big team. It's a lot more than what we expected, and it was all the girls were quickly bonded together because it was both 8th graders and high schoolers.
Yeah.
So that we thought that it might be a little challenging mixing the two.
Yeah.
But the high schoolers were really nice to us, and we liked having the high schoolers there. They were our role models, and it was really good.
How many 8th graders were on the team?
I think it was about half of them were all 8th graders.
So about 50% of the team, and there wasn't that that's the middle school kids that you guys just kind of bonded.
Mm-hmm.
Think that was important to the success that you guys had?
Yeah, I think it was because gymnastics is a lot about cheering each other on because sometimes it can be a little scary, going up on the beam or doing something.
Yeah.
So you have to cheer each other on and be a team. And with the high schoolers doing that, it's helps us keep going.
Yeah, yeah. What was one of your favorite memories from this past season?
I'm not sure. I just liked it all, just the whole environment. But I think me going to states just as an eighth grader, I really liked doing that. That was fun.
Yeah, that's a memory that'll stick for a while because it's rare that eighth graders even get to compete. So that's kind of a great thing that the kids were able to do and you were able to be part of. But gymnastics, obviously, that's something you have to like kind of start early. Like you don't just like, hey, I want to try for the gymnastics team and I'm in 10th grade.
Yeah.
It's kind of something that you've been doing for a while. So I spoke about memories, and I know, and you spoke about the team and bonding. Here's just kind of a theoretical question. Would you rather lose all your old gymnastics memories or never be able to make new ones?
Oh, that's a hard one. I feel like losing them would kind of be hard because you have to remember all the things you did in order to keep going.
Yeah.
But making new ones is kind of the whole fun part. So I think maybe I'd lose them and try to keep the challenge going.
Of making new ones. Yeah. Okay, well, that's very forward thinking, and I think you probably have a lot more good memories to make ahead of you, knowing how well you did individually and knowing that how great that team is coming together because the future looks really bright. Your coach constantly gave me updates during the season. She would let me know of the team's success and then individual standout success. And she was the first person that said, Zoe Duran, very interesting student, doing unbelievable. You should have her on the show. That was a long time ago, but she didn't want to jinx it. So she's spoken very highly of all your teammates, the whole team, and you individually. Tell me something about her that makes her a good coach, that you think should made her a good coach this year or just in general.
I think it's just her believing in us and saying that we can keep going. Like some of the girls hadn't done gymnastics before, but she just kind of encouraged them to keep going. So she's very encouraging, and she's just like a great person, and her personality is really good. So she doesn't scare you off or anything, but she's just really nice and encourages you to keep trying. Yeah,
so that motivation factor and things like that. And you like going to practice. I mean, you got to love to practice to get good at gymnastics because the practice regimen that you must have. Tell me a little bit about how much time and effort for eighth grader to have this much early success at a high school level. How much work has gone into that, and what does that look like? What does that entail?
So I've started gymnastics since I was 3, so I've had like lots of practice, but before I did this team, I also do private club gymnastics, so I do that 5 days a week. And then that's for 3 hours. But then I also have the add-on to high school gymnastics, which is about 2 hours or an hour and a half extra. So I have 2 days that have like about 5 hours of gymnastics, like just in once, like nonstop, just gymnastics. So I have a lot of practice with it.
Yeah.
But I think private club has helped me do better at high school because of the just constant practice over and over again.
So that's a lot of hours. I mean, I'm trying to add up in my mind, okay, now you're getting homework, you're here at school. That's a lot. That's a lot. How do you think gymnastics has helped you in the classroom? Because you've just laid out this whole thing, and I'm not going to give away your grades. That'd be against the law. I'd probably have fired. It's on TV, everything else. But you also have good grades. You're a well-performing student. Not getting into specific, you do well in the classroom too. How are you able to do that, and how do you think gymnastics might have helped you in the classroom?
Well, a lot of my teammates, like for private club, are a lot older than me, so I usually have them as most of my role models, so I kind of follow their lead when they say, oh my goodness, I have so much homework tonight. And I'm like, how are you going to get that all done? And they're like, well, I just have to keep thinking, oh, it's not just gymnastics, I also have homework, so they have to balance their time, and they do it. I have my dad at home who he keeps pushing me to keep going, not too hard, or it's just as much as I want.
Supporting you.
Yeah, he's just supporting me, and so I have that to keep going because I know that I want to do well.
So you get good support at home around you, and then you use the very key word in there, which is balance. So you try to find that balance between gymnastics, school, and that's probably something that you constantly have to manage. What's your favorite event? So I looked up the events at gymnastics. I mean, roll around. I don't know much. I mean, it looks very impressive. I can't even imagine doing it. And it's one of those things where it's a sport where I look at it and I'm not even sure what I just saw sometimes. Like I literally don't even know what I just saw. The person went this way, that way. What's your favorite event? The vault, the uneven bars, the balance beam, or floor exercise, and why?
I really like the floor because I feel as though that tumbling is just so much fun because you get to run, you get to flip, you get to go in the air and like twist all over, and you also get to dance, and I love dancing to the music that I have.
Yeah.
And so like every 2 years you get a different floor music, and it's just really fun doing it all.
Yeah. What's you get when you say you get a different floor? Is that assigned to you, or is that like the national floor music?
It's kind of like you pick a floor music, so it's kind of like how dance, you have a music to dance to.
Yeah.
So each individual girl has their own music that they get to pick, and sometimes it's like a song remix, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I have mine, and it's like personal just to me, and I go out on the floor and I dance and flip to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you get to create a lot of the dancing parts, or is it very kind of strict, like you have to do this?
Usually you have like a professional choreographer to do it for you.
Do
and
you
like,
have one of those?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And like, so she does it for, it's mostly for my private club. She did it for my private club, and then.
Okay, so they have someone come in that that's their specialty, and they work with all the girls within the club. Great, great. So this is high level. So, when you practice, are you practicing with college in mind, the Olympics in mind? What is that kind of, thing on the horizon that you're kind of setting your ship to?
I never really thought about college gymnastics until I started doing high school gymnastics this year. And I went to a lot of college gymnastics meets because some of my friends, they graduated from high school just this past year. And they did college gymnastics, and we went to watch their meets, and it's so cool. Like, all the girls, it's like a big, huge team sport. And now doing high school gymnastics, it's like the same thing, but this is like more higher level. Yeah. So I never really thought about it. But
you're thinking about it now, Ben.
Kind of thinking about it now.
Okay.
I was had like academics more in mind, but now I'm like really liking it. So
Can I suggest both?
Yeah.
Okay, just keep going both. I mean, you're moving in the right direction, but now you're actually starting to think of like, okay, what does this look like 5 years from now and beyond? And have you even considered any colleges?
Well, I've always had my heart set on MIT because I really like outer space and engineering and all that. But MIT doesn't have a gymnastics program. Yeah. So this past weekend I went to a Brown meet, and they are like a Division I school. Yeah. So it's like gymnastics that's really cool and fun to do. But then they also have like good grades, and like you have like it's like really good for that too. So Brown's an option.
If I got into Brown, I might be able to do a backflip. Even right now, I might be able to do backflip. Brown would be an excellent school, and it'd be great to go there. So you qualified, one of the accomplishments for you specifically was you qualified for the high school individual all-around gymnastics championship. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
What is the all-around, and how did that go?
So like it started off with high school gymnastics. There's 2 girls who do the all-around. Yeah. So I was one of those girls, and then they take...
Can I ask you how that's chosen? How do you get chosen? There's only 2 girls, so that's very specific.
So it's usually based on your skill level, because it's like all different for high school gymnastics. So usually you take like the girls who you think will get the highest scores, because it's always based on your skill level. Yeah. And so you take 2 girls, and sometimes you switch them out.
Is that kind of a coach's decision?
Yeah, it's a coach's decision.
So the coach will pick 2 girls for this all-around thing.
And that means you do all 4 events, because for other girls, sometimes you only do 1 event, sometimes you do 2. It's always different. So for the all-around, you do all 4, and you have all your scores from each event, they get calculated, and you get an all-around score. Yeah. And then those all-around scores go into like this whole statewide thing. Yeah. So all of the scores get like place in numbers, and it's the top 40 that get into the all-around state individuals. So it's just an individual event. But I had like my team like cheering me on, saying that so I made it to the individuals out of the whole state.
So the whole state and
Whole
running
state.
throughout the whole season, they were adding up your scores meet after meet,
Yeah.
and you were able to qualify for this. Were people's like, what grade are you in? Were like, did you get some head turns and people saying like when they introduced next up is junior from North Attleboro High School, and all of a sudden the 8th grader. I mean, did people kind of snap their head around and go,
yeah.
wow.
When I walked by a couple of judges, and they're like, "Oh, look, that's the 8th grade." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." Because it's a room full of mostly higher level, more gymnasts that are a lot higher, but they're also like seniors and juniors, and so it's crazy.
Yeah. What do you think the best definition of courage is? Not being scared, or being scared and doing it anyways?
I think it's being scared and doing it anyway, because gymnastics is also like you have to have a lot of courage to do some of the things that we do.
Yeah. I would imagine there's a lot of like a fear factor of doing these different activities. I know even my daughter takes gymnastics at the Y. She's only 5. But I'm fearful when she's like jumping from coach to coach, and I'm not doing it. I can only imagine the fear. What is a move or a particular event or something that you're kind of facing down fear right now?
I think that's beam for me, because it's like 4 inches of piece of wood that you have to flip on and try not to fall off. So it's kind of scary for me.
And how high up is that?
It's pretty high. I think it's like 4 feet from the ground.
Okay, I can almost walk under that. Okay. So, that's scary. So you're having to face fear a lot, I would imagine. And that probably gives you a lot of strength and probably makes it easier to stare down like a chapter test, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can do that. You can do the test. You can manage your time. What is something that you learned during this season that you think that's going to help you next year at the high school level?
Like gymnastics-wise?
Gymnastics-wise, yeah.
I think more like team building. Like I learned how to like work with a team, and so I think that'll help like future like in school and out of school, like with gymnastics too. It's like it's a lot. You have to work with a team to get through it.
Yeah. Who inspires you?
I have a lot of different people that could go into that category. Mostly my dad, because he's like, he worked really hard to get what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But then I also have like my gymnastics friends who are like in college now. They have inspired me to keep going, and they always want to know updates, whatever, and to see how I'm doing. So that
so they're inspiring you because they're a little bit further down that road.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your family has probably had to drive you a lot of miles to practices, and a lot of times I can only imagine how much mom and dad are like dropping off, picking up, and everything else. Tell me, what are some of your goals for next year, season-wise?
I think it would be really cool to make it to the all-around state individuals again. That'd be really cool, and then I could like. Maybe this time I could place or something. Yeah. Because this time I didn't place, but it's okay. I'm just glad I made it.
Yeah. So your goal is get back there.
Yeah.
And then take the next step. All right, great. Well, I wish you the best of luck in reaching that goal. I think you'll do it. You won't be a Norton Middle School student anymore. You're going to be off to the high school. But I look forward to following you as you go off and begin your high school career.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. Thank you. Zoe Duran, grade 8 student, athlete, and standout NMS student.